Right, so if we're all ready, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the third of Redstor's series of WebExes, which we've entitled The Power of 4-in-1. My name's Brian Evans. I've been working with Redstor for the last 17 years, both in the channel and direct role across all of our verticals. My objective for today is to encourage you to leverage our full 4-in-1 range of features when engaging with customers rather than just backup. The idea is that if you're selling 4 features rather than 1, you're 4 times more likely to win, and your conversation will be 10 times more interesting for you and for your customers. Believe me, after 17 years, you want to spice up your conversations a little bit rather than just backup. So today I'm going to be talking about the market drivers, both now and more typically moving forward, our full feature set, and the value these features deliver for your clients. So just to recap briefly on the presentations from my colleagues Ed and Mike over the last couple of weeks. What we've seen out on the market, guys, is a period of migration back to people's houses. Now, this has presented our partners and our customers with a lot of different challenges. How do they get access to their data? How do they get remote control? How do they then, once they've established themselves at home, how do they then protect their data? Now, in terms of more general market drivers, I'd argue that the biggest one for everyone is actually exponential data growth. Now, this manifests itself in a number of different ways. Typically, when you look at a customer's environment, 90 to 95% of that data has not changed. Now, right now, we've got inaccessible data spread around people's homes. We're moving out to the cloud. We're giving protection for all of these different data sources. But look at that another way. Effectively, you've got a situation where your customers are spending 95% of their budget on data which has the least value for them. So the bottom line, guys, is if you want to differentiate, don't just talk about backup. 1, it's not very interesting. 2, pretty much the rest of the market can do it. It is not a point of differentiation, it's a point of parity. Backup is just a means to an end, guys. Our customers are buying for the ability to access, recover, and archive their data. Arguably, the backup process just puts your data in the wrong place. So when you have an issue, you want to get your data back to your site or be able to access that data where it is. Now, in terms of backup, as I say, all nice and easy. The challenge is getting it back to your customers and doing it quickly. Now, this is where the elephant in the room starts to come in, because it takes an awful long time, guys, to send data through limited bandwidth. Now, nobody can change this. It takes X amount of time to send Y amount of data through Z amount of bandwidth. Nobody can change that. Now, I'm going to come on to how we address that a little bit later on in the presentation. But effectively, if you're recovering this data just over the wire, you don't change the way in which that data is accessed, that's how long it's going to take. Now, by comparison, leveraging instant data, you can shave 9 days, 16 hours, and 13 minutes off this time to access unstructured data direct from Redstor's cloud. Leveraging instant data permanent, you can recover a full server in under half an hour, but access individual files in advance. So start to think about a combination of those approaches. So when you're talking about Office 365 backup and recovery, arguably, if Office 365 is flat on its back, being able to recover to it is no good. Instant data gives you the ability to access that data, unstructured data, instantly from our clouds. Excuse me. So, how do we change all of this? I use the analogy of Netflix. Everybody uses it and everyone understands how it works. Now, do you think you would still use Netflix if you needed to buy a massive grade SAN in order for that to work? And if that SAN went down, would you still use it if you had to download every film that Netflix has got before you get to the one that you actually want to view? Excuse me. Now, some of you may recognize the model which I've described, which is also known as a hybrid cloud. Now, we'll come on to that a little bit later in the presentation, but here's the point. Forget backup, focus on recovery. So, hybrid cloud. What does that actually mean? My argument is that that actually means not cloud. It's a physical on-site piece of kit. Now, right now, lead times are massive. Your backup server fails, you've got all sorts of problems. Lead times are massive for primary disk. If you can't get it, you could potentially run out of space. So the reason that these appliances are there is that these hybrid approaches need that local hardware in order to be able to hit sensible recovery times. What they also do is use an awful lot of disk. Now, if you get your head around the fact that we can fool the end user and the machine into believing that data is present locally, but actually it's being accessed from our cloud, we come on to archiving. Now, I'm going to use the example of Veeam. There could be plenty of others, but I think it's probably one of the most common ones that we see out on the market. So what does that look like? Earlier on, we mentioned that 90 to 95% of the data in our customers' environments has not been accessed in weeks, months, or years. So let's say that's 10% for the sake of argument. That's actually live. You've got 9 terabytes of ROM. A on-site or hybrid approach would see a considerable amount of disk, between 3 and 4 times the amount of disk to protect your front end 10 terabytes. But guess what? That's all still on site. So what else do you need? Another 40 terabytes. So in this scenario, we have 1 terabyte of data and 80 terabytes of disk to protect it. Now, also bear in mind, guys, that this is how a data stored model works. We charge on this, they charge on that. And if your local hardware is gone, you are then back to the traditional bring all of Netflix back before you get to your film that you want to watch. So, what does that look like in Redstor's world? No local hardware, nothing to fix, nothing to go wrong, no disk to buy. But what else can we do? through archiving, even with a relatively relaxed archiving policy, you're looking at saving potentially 60% of your customers' primary storage. So, pricing, not very complicated. One line item, you pay for the data that you want to protect. That is it. All of our retention is included, all of our archiving is included, instant data, instant recovery, and more importantly right now, instant access to data, wherever you are, wherever you want it. So, I can almost feel people groaning when we get to talk about GDPR and compliance. Have a look at this though, guys. It says nothing about backup. It is all about recovery and specifically the ability to restore the availability and access to this personal data in a timely manner. Now, I would ask you, if you had a room of 500 IT directors, how many of them do you think would put their hands up and say that 9 days, 6 hours, 13 minutes and 20 seconds is a timely recovery objective? You look at Article 32, guys, and it literally gives you a description of our service. Pseudonymization, encryption instantly off-site. Temporary access gives you the ability to instantly prove that data is available and recoverable. Instant data perm, restoring data. Instant data temp, access to data. And testing. So, moving on from the security elements, what else do we need to bear in mind from GDPR? Subject access queries. Guys, how easy is it going to be for your customers to understand what data they have and where it is if it's all distributed across thousands of laptops? Your backup is the place where everything is in one place. Now, where we distinguish here is the ability to search not only for metadata, but also for the content of files. We're able to extract them, we're able to delete them. So in terms of GDPR compliance, we tick all of the boxes. So you'll be pleased to hear I'm coming towards the end of the presentation. I'm just going to touch on insight before I start to draw the presentation to a close. Insight, guys, you can deploy across your full environment. You can give your customers very clear understanding of the amount of space that they can save both in their primary storage, who's got files when they were last accessed, how much data there is, are you protecting all of it, are they protecting all of it? You can deploy the agent, get all of this telemetry without even doing a backup. So I just want to recap on what we've covered today, and I hope that I've been able to give you a slightly different perspective on approaching these opportunities. So things to remember, we are a true cloud company. No hardware is required in order for us to be able to deliver our service. Now, obviously right now, elimination of local hardware means an elimination of visits to sites to change backup tapes, to swap out machines, all of these kind of things. Nobody's in a queue to do that. Nobody wanted to change backup tapes at the best of times. The margins that you will make on our platforms significantly outstrip what I understand is available from others. You've got a great opportunity with Veeam at the moment, just put up their pricing 15%. Our stuff, guys, you can sell it now, you can recognize it now, there's no lead times for disk, And the pricing, guys, one line item. It could not be more easy than that. Easy to deploy, easy to manage, high value. You'll be talking to people about an entirely different approach to recovery. This is unique to us, this stuff, guys. If you want to differentiate, don't talk about boring stuff that everybody else can do, basically. So in terms of these USPs, the search, the archive, if you want us to engage with you directly with the end user customers, that's basically what I do. You have full support from our team, sales, pre-sales, trials, demos, whatever you need. So I want to leave you with that 4-in-1 message. Backup, so what? Means to an end, moving data from A to B. If something goes wrong, it's in the wrong place. You need to get it back quickly. That is where the value is, not in backup. Search and insight, understand, be able to play back to your customer what his environment looks like, the money that he could save from leveraging archiving. Disaster recovery, well, you know, if you can't sell this stuff now, guys, there's an amazing opportunity here for you to make your customers' lives easier. Leave them at home, let them manage their environment from there, cut down their costs. 4 things to remember. That's it, guys. Focus on the things that are most valuable to your client. Use Insight as an upsell tool. Don't forget, we don't need any hardware in order to be able to price, and it's a single one-line item price, not per user, per gig, or whatever. So, look, guys, that is pretty much me. Now I'm going to hand over to Amy with regard to any questions that you might have. You can also contact your account managers, or you can contact me directly. Thanks very much for your time. I'll hand over to Amy.
Great, thanks, Brian. We've actually got quite a few questions, so I'll start at the top.
Are they easy ones?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So the first question we've got is, I'll start at the bottom. Is there any extra license cost for local copies of data?
No, we don't need local hardware in order to be able to deliver rapid recovery times. But a lot of our customers have a load of spare disks when we swap out Veeam. So if our customers want to keep a copy of their data in their data center on their hardware, why would we charge for it? Because we don't need it.
Okay, good. Next question. We typically get 5 to 10% margin currently. What could we expect from Redstor?
30 to 50.
Okay, good to do a quick direct answer there.
Well,
a question here from someone in South Africa. Can I assume the same benefits for GDPR would apply in SA for the Poppy Act?
Poppy, yes. Yeah, as I understand it, and my South African colleagues are far more knowledgeable on this than me, but as I understand it, substantively, Poppy is very similar to GDPR.
Okay.
So, yes.
Great. Another question, will the local backup software ever support or be able to back up Hyper-V host and virtual machines?
We can do that already, and there are a lot of different ways that we can approach this. So we back up at a guest level, but we can recover at an image level. So this opens up lots and lots of options. It means that we can leverage instant data for file level recoveries, and we can also back up physical machines, recover into Hyper-V, back up Hyper-V machines, recover into VMware, or in fact back up on-prem and recover straight into Azure for disaster recovery.
Okay, great. Next one, how do you handle data sovereignty in different countries?
Well, that's a good question. So we have business partners all around the world. As you may know, we have a local storage point of presence in the UK. We also have one in South Africa. We have a number of partner sites around the world. And we're also able to leverage Azure if there are specific requirements for customers around data sovereignty. So lots of options depending on where you are, what you want. Yeah.
Okay, we've got tons of questions.
Right, okay.
We'll keep going till 11:30 and then we'll. So one here, archiving Exchange server, would it archive mailboxes within the Exchange database or leave the EDB alone and instead just look at system files on the Exchange server?
So to clarify, guys, and apologies if this wasn't clear earlier on, our archiving fires for unstructured data. So it's in terms of the archiving, this is for what are typically the larger file servers and data sets that are available out there. So we can't archive from Exchange, although I believe that you can archive within Office 365. Then, if desired, exclude the archives from the backup set.
Okay, thanks. Another one, what is the roadmap for G Suite integration?
Great question, and I'm pleased to say that that's going to be available at the end of at the end of May.
Great. Another one that looks technical, so I'm going to try.
Well, I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
Go on.
Someone said, so can it run on a schedule for local backup of virtual machines rather than a one-time local backup, but not send the data for these backups off-site? It could help to save them another backup client for managing virtual machine backups like Veeam, etc.
We've very deliberately made sure that we're a cloud-first organisation. Local copies, they're not in path, they are after the process. Our focus, guys, true cloud, get the data off-site. Unless it's off-site, we can't recover it.
Okie dokie. So
you can schedule as many backups as you like, but our first thing is get the data off site so we can give it back to you if you need it.
Okay. What retention periods are included? Somebody's asked.
Great question, and apologies I didn't cover that in more detail earlier on. It depends whether you're in education or commercial in the UK. I'm not sure how it's set in South Africa, but the standard retention is 30 to 60 days plus either 1 or 2 months month ends, which means we do a first full day 1. For the next 60 days, we do incrementals. On the 60th day, the first day rolls up to the 30th day, and that process starts again. Think of it like a concertina that opens out from 1 day to 60 days, closes from 1 day to 30 days. That process continues and exports a month's end. But that's fully configurable. If you want to keep all of it forever, you can. There's just a commercial consideration in terms of that one line item price per gig.
Okay, the questions are still coming in. This is great. If a customer if a customer wants to send all the data to OneDrive or SharePoint, does the archiving and instant data temporary permanent still work in the same way?
So for instant data temp, yes, it does work in exactly the same way. In terms of the instant data perm to OneDrive, I will take that to one side and I'll come back and confirm for you.
Okay, great. Someone said, I sell to schools only and I've told them we can restore from all previous timelines. Is that correct?
Assuming that the file is still within the retention, then yes. I'm not sure what your retention is set to. Typically, it's 30 to 60 days plus 2 month ends for education in the UK. So you can recover any file from any of the full recovery points that are available, or whether if it's in a full month end backup. But I'm not sure how your retention is set, but feel free to drop me a line and I can clarify that for you. But yes, as long as the file's still in the selection, it's available for recovery up until it falls off that retention. So if you deleted it day one, you've got a few months to notice it's gone and ask for it back.
Okay, someone said, can you give an example of a timely recovery for a customer in dire need?
Yes, I can. So I won't name the organisation, but they are a chain of independent schools. I had a telephone call from their CIO on a Monday morning. They'd lost their primary file server, 2.5 terabytes. They had a 50 meg line. To recover 2.5 terabytes over a 50 meg line takes the best part of a week. We talked the local network manager through the process, leveraged instant data perm. We had that full server presenting what the end users believed was a fully recovered file server by 9:30 on the Monday morning. Now, the significance of that, and bear in mind, the value of a recovery changes over time, but the significance of that particular week was that it was the mocks. So we were able to recover all that data by 9:30. If you got it back from a traditional non-optimized cloud platform, that school would not have got that data back until Friday, which would have been, I think it's suboptimal is the way to describe that. So there you go. There's the difference. 5 days, massive reputational damage if all of those very expensive private school girls weren't able to access their data for their final exams. Similarly, instant data, that's 20 seconds, guys. Just imagine if you were working on a bid, Office 365 goes down, it's not coming back up again, it's got to be up by 6. We can get you that data instantly. Continue to work whilst you wait for Microsoft to come back online. Now look, guys, Microsoft, fantastic platform, but the sort of level of stress that it's under at the moment is unbelievable. Have a look at Down Detector for 365. No matter how good you are, you've got to think that there's a distinct possibility that the chaps at Microsoft might face some challenges adding hundreds of millions of people on in a month.
Okay, I think we've probably got time for a couple more, and then any more after that we'll answer offline.
Sure.
Someone here has said, are you adding an MFA to the logins for the cloud platforms to tighten security and access?
I've no idea. I'm a sales bloke, but I will find someone that can. If you can just drop us an email, I'll answer your question. I'm not sure what you mean by an MSA. I think of a sort of 10-year-old HP storage array. So when we talk about MSA, but I can take that offline.
Okay, that's come from an anonymous, two-factor authentication, the person has said.
Oh, right, yes, sorry. Yeah, I do apologise, yes.
Okay, that's come from anonymous attendee. So if you just want to drop a note afterwards, then we can respond to that. Last one then.
My email address is on here, or contact your account manager with regard to that.
Sure. So last one then. How can we get a customer on trial?
Phone me up and I'll do it for you today. Or phone your account manager and we'll do that for you today.
Great. Thank you, everyone. It's really great to get so many questions, I hope everyone else found that really helpful. If you do have any more questions, then of course, email Brian, but I think we will close off there if that's good with you, Brian.
Yeah, fine by me. Any other questions, guys, let me know. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.